briefing.
A total of 176 people last night were in intensive care with confirmed or suspected cases of COVID-19. That is an increase of 14 on yesterday. And I can also confirm that a total of 1,321 people, including the intensive care patients with confirmed or suspected COVID-19, were in hospitals across the country. And it is with sadness that I must report a further 46 deaths of patients who had tested positive for the virus. That takes the total number of deaths in Scotland now to 172. And as is always the case, I want to extend my condolences to all of those who have lost loved ones. We announce on a daily basis the numbers of deaths, but we should never ever forget that every single one of these statistics is a human being who leaves behind relatives and friends who grieve for them. I want also to thank again today everyone working in our health and care sector, but I'm also well aware that there are many other people who are also going the extra mile right now. And today I want to particularly acknowledge people working in our food and drink and essential retail sectors. This is not an easy time at all to work in agriculture or food manufacturing or distribution, or of course in stores and supermarkets that require to remain open. But what everybody in all of these different sectors do is absolutely essential for all of us, and I'm grateful to all of them and want to take the opportunity today to say a heartfelt thank you. I really want to cover three issues today before taking questions. First of all, I want to follow up on some of the points I made yesterday about testing in Scotland. I know that there has been a lot of attention last night and into today around the UK government's pledge to test 100,000 people a day by the end of April. Now, obviously, and this is simply a statement of fact, it's not for me to set out the basis of the UK government's target or indeed how it plans to get there. What I can do, and indeed what I have a responsibility to do, is set out what Scotland is doing, including the work we are doing with the UK government. Now, when you factor in the difference in size between Scotland and the UK, what we are doing here will take Scotland to the same sort of position that the UK seems to be aiming for. We are increasing NHS Scotland's current capacity of 1,900 tests a day to at least 3,500 tests a day by the end of this month at the latest. And that is broadly similar, although slightly more ambitious than the UK Pillar 1 target of 25,000 tests a day. This expansion of testing capacity means, amongst other things, that we will be able to test more key workers with every day that passes. However, in addition to increasing capacity within NHS Scotland, we are also working with the UK government and other partners to further increase testing capacity beyond that. Yesterday's announcement that a new testing facility is being established by Glasgow University in collaboration with industry partners and the NHS is a very good example of that. We in Scotland are currently working to establish exactly how many more tests we think the Glasgow University facility, together with other initiatives, will deliver. However, there is no doubt that they will allow us to increase our testing capacity in a way which is proportionate with the rest of the UK. Finally, we continue to think about how widespread testing, including perhaps antibody testing, will be used in helping us to move out of this period of lockdown. Specifically in relation to an antibody test, as I said yesterday, as others have also said, that kind of test doesn't currently exist in a reliable form. We certainly hope that it will do soon, but the fact is that might still be some time away. The Scottish Government has established a testing oversight group involving the Chief Scientist for Health, Professor David Crossman, and it has been tasked with overseeing the following strands. Firstly, the increase of NHS lab capacity and also the Scottish delivery of the UK-wide programme to deliver non-NHS testing. Secondly, the development of antibody testing so that as soon as tests are available, we are in a position to deploy them here in Scotland. Thirdly, surveillance, epidemiology and prioritisation. That strand will also look ahead to the role of testing in our eventual strategy to exit the lockdown measures. Next, logistics and access to testing, and lastly, data management. The second issue I want to cover briefly today concerns shielding, which you will recall are the measures we are putting in place to protect people who are at the highest risk if they contract COVID-19 because of their existing health conditions. We had previously estimated, and it was a rough estimate, that up to 200,000 people would be in this group. We've been doing further work to remove duplication from records and ensure accuracy, and we can now say with more confidence that there are approximately 120,000 people across Scotland in one or more of these categories. And if you are uncertain about whether or not you should be one of them, full details are available on the NHS Inform website. The Chief Medical Officer has now sent more than 110,000 letters to people in these groups, and the remainder of these will arrive shortly. These letters, and those watching who have received one will know about this, they give information on how people can shield themselves from infection, and also, crucially, because we're asking these people to isolate for a 12-week period, so these letters provide detail on what support is available to them. This support includes access to home deliveries of essential food items and toiletries through a text message service. I can say that more than 8,000 people have already signed up for this service and have been texted with the option of receiving deliveries. Those deliveries started this morning. I want to stress that you don't need to have a mobile phone to register. Anyone in the highest risk group can sign up if they need it. Details of how to do that are in the letters that people will have received. In addition, information is available on the NHS Inform website and through the main phone switchboard of your local council, and we'll be writing again soon with local contact details. And I want today to encourage everyone who is in this high risk group who has received or will receive one of these letters to register. You might not feel you need help right now. You may have family or friends who are providing the support you need, but registering now will help us to keep in touch with you if you need help later on. We're also working with local health boards to ensure the delivery of specialist medicines such as chemotherapy drugs to people in this group, and we're working with supermarkets to prioritise delivery slots. Fundamentally, we know that some people, due to pre-existing conditions, are at particularly high risk should they contract this virus. So we are determined to shield them and also to give them the support they need to ensure that they can protect themselves. The final issue I want to mention is, of course, as everybody knows, we're now 1 week away from Easter, and this weekend, of course, would have marked the start of the Easter school holidays. And there's no doubt that we are about to head into what, yes, would have been the spring holiday season, but one of the most unusual holiday periods that we have faced. And as everybody knows, although schools have been closed, school and childcare facility provision is still available in all local authorities for people who need it, for example, children of health and care service staff. So I can confirm today that all local authorities will keep learning and childcare centres open in their area during the holiday period. The arrangements made during the holidays might be different from those made during term time. The number of centres that are open and the types of support they provide will vary in different council areas according to local need. But by making learning and childcare available in every local authority area over the holiday period, we can make sure children are safe and well looked after while their parents are able to do critical jobs. And I'm very grateful to all local authorities for working with us on this. There is, of course, a more general point about the Easter holidays. As I said a moment ago, this will be a holiday period unlike any we have known in our lifetimes. I know that many people will be thinking about the plans they had made before this epidemic struck to get away and to visit friends and relatives. And of course, it's not possible now to go on holiday around Scotland or to visit friends. Everyone will be staying home except for essential purposes such as exercise or buying essential supplies. And once again, I know how hard this is, but I also want to stress again today that these restrictions are absolutely essential. You know, we've heard discussion today in the media to the effect that this virus may peak in around 1 week's time, and I want to address that point directly. Firstly, there is of course still a lot of uncertainty around when we can expect the virus to peak, and as we gather more data, I hope that we will be able to offer more certainty about that in the period ahead. But I want to be very clear, because I've always said I will be straight with people in these difficult times. I want to be very clear that nothing I have seen gives me any basis whatsoever for predicting that the virus will peak as early as a week's time here in Scotland. So I don't want people to have a false expectation based on what they might be hearing in the media today. And that message is important because I have to ask people, we all have to ask all of you to continue to stick with these measures, no matter how difficult they are. Many of us took part last night in the applause for NHS and care workers that was heard to the accompaniment of the bagpipes right across the country. But it continues to be the case that the best and the most important way in which all of us can help our health and care services is by staying at home as much as possible and by keeping our distance from each other. So I want to end by thanking all of you for doing the right thing and staying at home over this holiday period, because this is how we will slow the spread of this virus. It is how we will protect our NHS from being overwhelmed, and it is how we will save lives. So thank you to each and every one of you. I'll now hand over to the Chief Medical Officer, who will say a few more words before I open to questions from the media.
So we're going to leave Edinburgh